We are halfway through the audition stages for America's Got Talent for 2024, and in this video I'll be giving out my predictions, my early predictions who I think will make their spots in the final, as well as the top 3 semi-finalists for each week, and also my prediction for the wildcard for this year. Now I must say, making this prediction was pretty hard to do as I was going back and forth quite a bit, but I eventually came to a decision on this. So without any further ado, let's get straight into this video. So guys, as you're probably aware by now, we are only halfway through the auditions for AGT this year, and already I feel like it's flown by this year. And you know, it feels like yesterday the premiere happened, and that was actually on the week of the semi-finals for BGT, which I think was so interesting because they do tend to do that quite a bit. So it's not really surprised they were going to do it. But it's lucky for that because with BGT semi-finals being on that same week, and we had the AGT, two of my favourite shows to do when the Masked Singer's not on. It's just so much fun to do, and and I want to ask you: do you think I should do maybe more stuff, maybe apart from the Masked Singer, AGT, and BGT? Because I did Hell's Kitchen, last year. I did that for a while. Then I did The Voice UK. I did that as well, which I'm thinking I might do again for this year. As you know, I love watching those shows as well. I think especially when there's no Masked Singer or AGT BGT on, I actually really enjoy doing those type of videos because I originally created this channel only for the Masked Singer, YouTuber, etc. But then when I found that BGT would be on last year, I was actually thinking to myself, maybe I should do rankings on it, and which I got to love and do. And this is where I am right now. So yeah, and also this is why I love doing this. So I'm so happy I get to do it and share with you guys this. But also as we know, like I mentioned the other day, season 12 has just finished filming, so we should get some announcements within the next few weeks maybe, because they do tend to do some advertisements and showing stuff about around this time. So not 100%, but we should get some new information, I'd say, within the next few days, I think. So yeah, and if you remember, there was a theory that apparently season 8 and 12 for the upcoming have similarities, which has got me thinking. Well, as we had a female finale for season 8, we could have a male finale for season 12, and maybe season. I'm not too sure. We'll definitely find out sooner or later, but regardless, so I think we should get straight into this video here without me yapping on. So anyway, so this is, as you know, my America's Got Talent early picks and predictions. As you know, I do this every single year. BGT or AGT is on. I normally do my early my first impressions. Well, that's on the fandom and the Reddit discussions, but I don't really do it on YouTube per se. So, but around the 5th or 6th episode, mainly the 5th episode, I will share my predictions, my early predictions, basically, for the finals, if that makes sense. And then just double check, okay, that we're good. So, this is just my prediction as of right now. And, this year I managed to get 7 out of 11 for the BGT finalists, as I got Innocent Masuku, Sydney Christmas, Trixie, Salabi, Afronise and Abigail, and Mike Williams, which I got. So let's get into it. I'll explain that in just a bit. So my early predictions, who I think will make through to the final for America's Got Talent season 19, are Akuna Matata Acrobatics, Sabrina, Richard Goddell, Ronnie Saggy and Rhythm, Joe DeRidge, Legion, Pranaiska Mishra, Learn More Janasi, Sky Element, Brent Street, and who I think will be the wild card for this year, DD Simon. All right. So, by the way, I just want to clarify here. I actually originally had Joe DeRidge and DD Simon switched up, but I switched it last minute just because I like to be accurate with these predictions. And like I said just a moment ago, I managed to get 7 out of 11 finalists for BGT, which was Innocent Masuku, Salabe, Sydney Christmas, Trixie, Afronita and Abigail. Just trying to think of the others now. let me go back quickly. So I managed to get Innocent Masuku, Sydney Christmas, Trixie, Afronita and Abigail, Sydney. No, Mike. Oh god, but you know what I mean. Let me try this again. I managed to get Innocent Masuku, Sydney Christmas, Trixie, Salabi Performance Team, Afronita and Abigail, Mike Woodhams, and the Northern Sings Out. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. And to be honest with you, I would have replaced, thinking about it, had Harry Bow been on episode 5 or 4, I would have replaced them with Arbon, in my opinion. And I feel like, thinking about it, I would have actually put Jack Rhodes in instead of Serpentry, because Jack really was such a class act. And Jack could have won any other series of BGT, because Sydney was the firm favourite. Her and Innocent Masuki were the favourites, but Jack really definitely could have won any other year if he competed. But that's enough of BGT for now. So, as I said, this is my prediction, who I think will be the 11 finalists for this year. And I could be right. I hope I'm right with these. Because I did get, like I said, I got 7 out of the 11 for this year's BGT, which I think was really impressive. As last year, I managed to get 3 for BGT, but I think for AGT last year, I managed to get about 4 or 5. I think it was 4. But then I did my tier list maker, which I do after the auditions. So which I will be doing, by the way. I will be doing that after the audition episodes, probably because we go for a break for 2 weeks because the Olympic trials for the Olympic stuff. So we'll, in that period of time, we'd get the semi-finalists out. We would find out who's in the semi-finals, and I would do kind of like a final guess, if that makes sense. I mean, it all depends on the lineup, because and because we could have a lineup where we could be completely blindsided by this, but hey, I really am hoping we can get something right for this year. So, anyways, let's get into this is the part of the video where I'll be predicting who I think will be the top 3 acts of each semi-final each week, and then who I think out of the 3 finalists, the 2 contestants will move it forward. Now, again, this is not confirmed. This is not this is just a pure first impression guess. I actually can't believe I managed to get Innocent Masuku, Salabi, and the Trick Stars, who were actually my first impression guesses for the semi-final top 3 in my prediction video for BGT. But they were actually the top 3 in their respective semi-final, which I just think is just completely nuts. So I can't believe I was at. So I'm not expecting to be right here, okay? I'm not expecting to be right here, but hey, we'll go with it. So, anyways, so let's start with my prediction, who I think will make it through to the final, the first 2 spots. So I think the top 3 for semi-final number 1 will be Ronnie Sagi and Rhythm, Dee Simon, and Joe DeRidge, okay? And this is who I think the top 3 would be, and who I think will make the first spot in the final, and I'm going really, really bold here, and that is the magician, Joe DeRidge. Now, hear me out when I say this, because the thing with Joe is, why I really do like him, I actually feel his whole act with the magic and the chicken, Curry, I think that's his name, or her name, I just think this was such a clever act, and something I had never seen before. And I feel like this is I think Howie said it himself. This is an act I think the whole family would love, and I could just definitely see him being a dark horse in the competition to actually get to the final. Because think about it, my prime example, I actually have 3 contestants I reference to, 1 from last year and 2 from the previous series, and that I always reference is Adrian the Hurricane, because Adrian the Hurricane is probably one of the best dark horses agencies ever had, in my opinion, because the fact that I almost completely forgot about Adrian Hurricane after the audition, and the fact they made it to the final, literally had literally in my head, I was literally thinking to myself, if they give a good performance in the final, they got a good chance of winning, and they could be the dark horse in the competition. And sure enough, they ended up winning, and they were the first act of the night as well, and they actually ended up winning, which I think is just actually pretty impressive as well. So So and also my other reference is Nicholas Ribbs and Yoo Jin, because I um Nicholas Ribbs, actually no, Yoo Jin actually did. While I was fairly impressed with him. I kind of forgot about Yoo Jin in the second after his audition, but then his semi-final performance was just unbelievable, which really got him a spot in the final, which was rightfully deserved as well. Then Nicholas Ribbs, the the magician with the electric table, where he did the with the whole electronic stuff, which I thought was so cool. I thought his semi-final performance was incredible, best in his audition episode, and when Howie said to Nicholas, you got a good chance of winning this whole thing, that solidified his spot in the final. And I'm honestly so happy he did. And a lot of people were actually quite upset when he lost. He won over Celine Munoz, but I thought it was deserving. But regarding this, I actually think Jody Ridge could be a real dark horse to get to the final. And I don't know about winning, but I think he's the type of act I can honestly see get to the semi-finals and pulling off this kind of this trick, and not trick, but like he can have this dark horse moment where where people may forget about him, but they actually manage to be completely blown away by his act. And I actually think that will boost I think he'll boost his spot in the final. So I think, like I said, I think he's going to be the real dark horse in the competition. Now between Dee Simon and Ronnie and Rhythm, and out of these two, who I think will make the next spot in the final, I think it will go to Ronnie and Rhythm. And America loves dog acts, and they remind me that these guys remind me of Adrian Hurricane from last year, which I loved last year. And I can again, like Jody Ridge, I can definitely see them being a dark horse in the competition to make it far. Now, and I think it'd be nice to have them in the final as well, because to me they're like an act. I can definitely see having the under the radar edit along the way, and then just completely just surprise us with this amazing performance, which can potentially get their spot in the final. So I do think, while I do think Dee Dee Simon is worthy of a place in the final, I think she will most likely get maybe third in her semi-final top three. But in the end, I think it'll be Ronnie and Rhythm in the final, along with Jody Ridge. But then I think Dee Dee Simon will secure a spot for the wild card, if that makes sense. So yeah. Now let's move on to semi-final number 2 for my prediction, and two of them in my prediction are the two golden buzzers. Actually, the first two golden buzzers of the season. So my prediction for the top 3 for semi-final number 2, if it does happen, is Learn More Janasi, Richard Goddard, and Dask Dominoes. And who I think will make it through to the final out of here. For the first spot, I think it will go to Learn More Janasi, Terry's golden buzzer. And I feel like the thing about him is we've never had a comedian win AGT. I mean, you could consider Paul Zerdin as a comedian, but he did ventriloquism. It was like comedy ventriloquism, that makes sense. But to be honest with you, there is something so likable and so just like brilliant about him, which I just love. I just think he's just infectious. And I actually did think he was the best actor of the night on the episode 1. I think him, Sam, Hang, and Richard Goddard were all three amazing. But I think Learn More just stood out for me for some reason. And I definitely think he's got a shot at winning his semi-final. And I actually do mean this when I say this. I think he could be the first comedian to win AGT, as we've had so many comedians come close to that happening, like Preacher Lawson, Drew Lynch, we've had Taylor Williamson, Tom Cotter, all these comedians that made it to the final, but sadly didn't win. So I think when he does after his semi-final performance, I think the public are going to love him. I think the public will get behind him, and I think he'll get his spot in the final, as he's just such a breath of fresh air, and I just love it. Now between Dask Dominoes and Richard Goddard, two both really good actors as well, because we have Richard Goddard, who is as of right now the clear favourite to go all the way with 17 million views. out of everybody, the most amount of views out of any contestant this year. And Dusk Dominoes, who are such a unique act, which I can honestly see headlining anywhere. I just think, and I love Dominoes. I love the pizza, but also love, when the act they do. Okay, but in the end, I think it will be Richard Goddell who will secure his spot in the final, and I feel like it's kind of obvious he's going to be in the final because not only he is literally the fan favorite, but he's got so many views on his audition, and rightfully so as well because I just think his voice is incredible, and the fact he nailed. I mean, he was so. It felt like I literally closed my eyes and it felt like I was listening to Steve Perry. Like that's how good, how closely he was to the original, which I just think is just brilliant. And I just think he's a star. I think he's a born star. I think he can do really well, and I think he could be the favourite to win the whole thing. And I would love to see him win as well. So that's who I think. So our semi-final number 2, I think it'll be Learnmore and Richard. Okay, semi-final number 3. Now this one is it's got 2 golden buzzers again. I know. I pick the golden buzzers quite a lot. But this one's actually interesting because because these, in my opinion, the 2 acts I'm going to talk about are, in my opinion, the 2 best golden buzzer acts of the season, with Richard Goddell being a really close third place. So let's talk about it. So we have my prediction for semi number 3. The top 3 is Sam Hang, Legion, and Pranaiska Mishra. And who I think will make the final out of the 3, the next spot, I think it will be Legion. And there's something about Legion that's just so, like, I remember watching the audition, I just, like, literally said to myself, what on earth? Like, this was just such an amazing act. Like, the only act that was so close to this was Maleva back in 2016. They got all the way to the semi-finals. But for Legion, to me, they're just such another level of the Golden Buzzer this season, as I think they're so unique. They deserve to be in Las Vegas. They deserve to. I think this is the type of act that deserves to tour all over the country, and it's so incredible. And the fact they had fire on their boots while doing the choreography, they had drums, had the whips. It was just it's just such an exciting act, and I think to have them in the final would be so incredible. As it's an act you don't normally see, these days, and I think BGT should have an act like this as well in the finals, or at least in the semi-finals at least. But yeah, I think Legion are, in my opinion, they are the best golden buzzer of the entire season. In my opinion, and I think they're going to be real contenders in the final if they make it or to get there. I just think they're just perfection in their own way. Then we have Pranaiska Mishra versus Sam Hang, another magician which I've chosen. But in the end, I think the second spot to be in the final, it will be Pranaiska Mishra. And I think Pranaiska Mishra, man, I said this before, and I'll say it again, but I think Pranaiska is the best is the best child singer of the season. Like, and I thought her audition, in my opinion, is without a doubt the best performance of the season. I actually think she's one of the best golden buzzers. I think her and Legion are the 2 best golden buzzers in my opinion. Like, and the fact she's 9 years old and the fact she's got that incredible voice, it just shows me, like, I actually didn't want to believe that was her voice because it was that good. Like, I just think she's just perfection. And look, I love Sam. I can definitely see Sam as an underdog in the competition. But actually, we could have a season 17 deja vu moment where maybe Sam and Joe could be in the final, as like Yoo Jin and Nicholas Ribbs. It's very possible. But I do think out of these 2, I think it's going to be Pranaiska. And to me, it's just, she's just, I honestly can't describe another word other than perfection because she's just that good of a singer. I just think she's just sensational. I said this in my fandom on my rankings, which I did on the Reddit and fandom. It's like when I thought I had my front runner circles of Legion, DD Simon, Learnmore, and Richard, just to name a few, and along she comes with Tina Turner and just blowing the house down. I honestly think she could be up there as one of the candidates to win, and I think she's got so much winning potential already. I could easily see her winning this whole thing, and I would not be upset at all because I just think she's just absolutely incredible. But yeah, that's who I think. Now moving on to semi-final number 4, and this one's an interesting one because this is the first one I think so far we've got pure variety. It's the last few have had singers in there, but this one actually hasn't got any singers at all. So this makes it interesting. So my prediction for semi-final, the top 3 for semi-final number 4 will be Sabrina, Sky Elements, and Andre Burton. Which I'm a bit biased here with Andre because I think he should have been in the live shows for BGT last year. So I'm hoping he makes it this time around. Otherwise, I'd be so upset. But anyways, who I think will make it through to the final of the top 3, I think you'll go to Sky Elements first, as their audition. I've been watching AGT for many years now, for good old 4 or 5 years. But for me, I think Sky Elements are one of the most incredible acts I've ever seen. Like, I've seen loads, I know what the drones are, but the fact they literally did it to Rocket Man, and I just thought it was just utter perfection what they were able to come up with. And honestly, it must have taken such a long time for them to do that act with the drones. It's just, honestly, I just think it's so incredible what they're able to do, and I could definitely see this headlining somewhere. Maybe not in Vegas. It could work in Vegas actually. Could it? It could, but I'm not too sure. But I think Sky Elements are really strong contenders, and I can definitely see them being like Metaphysics, and maybe getting 4th in the finals. But yeah, out of here, I think it will be Sky Elements for their spots in the final. Okay, now we've got Sabrina and Andre Burton, who I think will make the next 2 spots. In my opinion, this is one of those ones I could see going either way if this was the top 3. As Andre is I love BMX bikers. I think this is an act that definitely deserves more recognition, and I love BMX bikers. I've seen so many of them before, and it's just the coolest thing. Where Sabrina, Simon even said to them in the audition, "You've got a real shot at winning the whole thing." Just kind of says it all to me that out of these 2, I'd say Sabrina, because I think, and they also remind me of Avantgarde from last year, which were a humongous viral sensation. A lot of people loved Avantgarde, especially on the Reddit, and everyone was loving Avantgarde. So spiking. Excuse me. As I was saying, sorry about that, I just had a sneeze there. There we go. But anyways, as I was saying, I do think Sabrina have got a real shot at being in the final this year. With especially with Simon saying you've got a shot at winning, I can definitely see them making the final. I must admit, winning, I'm not certain on, but I think they could definitely be a real I think they could definitely surprise us this year. So I think with that all in mind, I think Sabrina will take their spot in the final. So we're now down to the final live semi-final for the semi-final number 5, and my prediction here is very similar. Is actually a bit similar. Okay, I've only got one golden buzzer here, so let's go. So my prediction for the top 3 for semi-final number 5 is Stephanie. I can never remember her name. What is her name? Just give me a second. Stephanie Rainey. Okay, I couldn't think of her surname. So Stephanie Rainey, Akuna Matata Acrobatics, and Brent Street. Howie's golden buzzer. And it's obvious to say here. I think it'd be Brent Street. It's gonna be. I have to say Brent Street for out of these 2, out of these 3 actually, because Brent Street, their audition, it didn't honestly feel like it was an audition. It actually felt like the final. It was that good. It was that good of an audition. And I think it's one of Howie's best golden buzzers he's given over the years. And I can totally see winning AGT this year. But I just think they're just a sensational dance act. And I think they've got a real shot of being a great dance act to win this whole year. We've only had one dance act win, and that was the Myers back in 2022. So I could definitely see them making the final without a shadow of a doubt. Now between Stephanie and Akuna Matata's acrobatics. Stephanie, I really like, not only because of her being from Ireland and I have Irish heritage, but also her backstory is so beautiful, and I think I think she's a great songwriter. I believe the original song talked about her nephew passing away from, was it cancer or leukemia? I can't remember on the top of my head. But it was a beautiful audition. I think her backstory will definitely resonate with the public as well. And Akuna, but who I think will make it to the final of these two, again a little bit biased here, but I'm saying Akuna Matata acrobatics, as I think Akuna Matata acrobatics are just, again, they're another act I can totally see in Las Vegas or somewhere like that, because, and they also remind me of the Ramadani brothers from last year, who are literally one of my all-time favorite acts ever on AGT, and I think one of the best acts to ever grace AGT as well. And they did have a couple of stumbles in their audition, about 2-3 times. I can't exactly remember, but afterwards they just like skyrocketed. It was just sensational to watch, and I just think I do think what they're doing is worthy of $1 million. I think it's $1 million act. I think it's something. It's an act I can totally see winning the show and headline Las Vegas at the same time. So I think we could definitely see them in the final this year. Okay, so so now for the final, and this is where I predict who I think will be the top 5 of the season, if that makes sense. So my prediction for the top 5 is Richard Goddell, Ronnie and Rhythm, Learn More Genasi, Sky Element, and Brent Street. So out here we've got 4 out of 5 golden buzzers, because we've got Heidi's, Terry's, Simon's, and Howie's. The only non-golden buzzer here is Ronnie and Rhythm. But I do think so. Let's go through it, okay? So out of these, who I think will get 5th place, I think it will go to Ronnie and Rhythm, just because I feel like, I think we could definitely see them making a dark horse run. I don't quite see them winning beyond 5th place, in my opinion. 4th place, I think, will go to Sky Elements, because I feel like they kind of remind me of Metaphysics as something so unique, but I can definitely see them getting 4th place. And it's also quite similar to Pucciariani from last year, which was signed with Golden Buzzer and got 4th place. So I can definitely see Sky Elements getting 4th place. And 3rd place, I'm thinking Learn More Genasi, because of it feels like every single comic that gets to the final, they always seem to get 3rd place for some reason, which I find very, very interesting, I must admit. But yeah, I do think that it's very, very interesting, I must admit. But yeah, I think you'll be able to learn more. Then the top 2 for this will be Brent Street and Richard Goddard. By the way, I just want to say, I actually can see Richard and Learn More in the top 2. I think I could definitely visualize that. I'm just saying. But as I was saying, I think the top 2 will be Brent Street and Richard Goddard, and who I think will win out of those 2, I think just purely based on the fan base, as well as the amount of views they've got, I think the winner will be Richard Goddard. Just because of, I just think he's just an incredible singer, and all around, I just think he's just such a lovely, humble person. And like I said, his voice is just incredible. I love Brent Street. I can definitely see them winning as well. But for now, I'm going with my guts of saying Richard Goddard as this year's winner. And I think with the amount of views he's got and the love he's getting, I think he's going to do really well. And I just think America's going to absolutely fall in love with him. I just think it's going to be amazing. I think he would be such a great winner. Especially, I would love it. I would love to see him win, no matter what. So there you guys have it. Here is my prediction for my early picks and predictions video for America's Got Talent season 19. Do you agree with my predictions? Let me know in the comments, because I love doing these videos. So it's just so refreshing to do these videos, and I do tend to go accurate with these predictions as I can. but we'll definitely see what the outcomes will be in the next few months or weeks per se. But anyways, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please like and subscribe with post notifications turned on. I'd really appreciate it. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.